Hi guys, welcome to Mentorship Mondays. I'm gonna give it a couple of seconds, maybe a minute, just to get a few people on. Let's just say our hellos. Pumla, hello to you. Welcome. Huitzi, welcome. Pauline, thank you for being here. Maximion, nice, beautiful name. I hope I'm saying it correctly. Tibalo, hello to you. Noella Butja, lovely to see you. Sumant, Ashraf, hello, nice to see you here. Tato, hi guys. Hlengiwe, I am Tony, nice to have you here. Andile Masikane, photography. All right, Andile, welcome. Let me see, Lelo Zwana, you've got the same. Well, one of my nephews, his nickname is Lelo. His name is Bansem Velo. Hey, Andrew Graf, guys, the principal of my former high school is here. When your principal starts tuning into your life, you've made it in life, right? So Andrew, Mr. Grafi, nice to have you here. He wasn't principal when I was there, but he's principal now. Buyinko, Buki, Joey, hello to you guys. Godfrey, hello everyone. Yes, Huitzi, it's episode 10, guys. I can't believe it. It's episode 10. We are on the 10th episode, and I've got so much to share with you guys today. I feel like today is a little bit of a reflective moment. I'm being pulled into a reflective moment, and I maybe want to go there with you guys and just connect. But first, Godfrey, good evening to you too as well. Noella says, hey, I met you at the Africa CEO Forum. You were incredible. Thanks, Noella. That was in Cote d'Ivoire. I am joining you guys from a hotel room. I'm sure you can tell. I'm in Kigali, in one of my favorite African cities, and I'm here for the AGRF, the Africa Green Revolution Forum, and I'm going to be moderating some of the really big sessions over the next 3 days. So I'm really, really excited and really just chuffed that I got the invitation. In one of the sessions, I'm going to be moderating a session with 10 presidents. So it's a big highlight for me to be here. And as always, I'm nervous as hell, but just trying to do the best that we can and just to keep doing the work that we need to do. I always love to know where everybody's from. So please let me know. Okay, nice to see you. Dumisa as always. So if you're, where are you? I'm in Rwanda. Where are you? So let me know where you are. It's always lovely to see Jay Matevo saying, hey, Nozi, I'm from Mozambique. Yes, and you've sent us some beautiful questions in the past. Welcome. Zaza Shongwe, nice to have you here as well. I'm literally going through. I want to make sure that I'm not missing anyone. So I wanted to maybe, Tony says I'm in Joburg. Of course, Josie. Huitzi is in Botswana. Huitzi, I was going to say your name gave it away, but not so much. But welcome, Joburg North. D and Diles, like I'm in Safa, as well as official Mrs. M. T for Moholisa is in Lesotho, so in Maseho. So welcome to you as well. Mrs. Zix, I just met someone in Kigali who looked at me and said, you look like you're from home. So it turns out she's from Soshanguve. So Pretoria as well, represented around the world, guys. It's always lovely to, bump into South Africans when you're traveling. We have a way of, we like smell each other out, right? And we find each other. So it's so lovely to know where everybody is joining from. So I wanted to start today by keeping a promise, right? So I made a promise at the last Mentorship Monday, and that promise was that in taking this moment to reflect about the journey that we've been on together, how can I just give a little bit more? And I wanted to give away a copy of Boardroom Dancing, which is a book that I found exceptionally helpful by Nolita Fakute. I have deep respect for her. She's the current chairperson of the Anglo-American South Africa board. And so, I was recently moderating something where her company was investing R1 billion in education initiatives. Now, if you're the kind of leader that commands that kind of money and those kind of portfolios, it certainly means that you've earned your stripes. And it was just so amazing just to see and to have experienced her over the years as just being so exceptionally humble and so exceptionally accessible, right? So she always says to me, Nosy, you can call me at any time. And I think, am I really going to call you? But when people say that, you've got to believe them, right? So I wanted to give a copy of the book, and I asked the question, how has Mentorship Monday impacted you? And we got some beautiful, beautiful responses. And I hope you guys don't mind, but we're going to share some of these on stories because I think they're so amazing. But my intention was to give one copy away. But the answers were so great. I think I'm going to give 2 copies away because there were 2 responses that I'm going to share with you now. That actually brought tears to my eyes, actually, as I was reading them. So I want to maybe read the first one from Naldik. And Naldik, you're usually here, so I don't know if you're here today, but I'm going to read the message from Naldik. Naldik says, hello, Nosy. Mentorship Monday has had a significant impact in my professional and my personal life. I saw a drastic improvement in how I carried myself during board meetings and just in general with how I engage with colleagues, especially the fellowship session. I found myself searching for fellowships that were more meaningful and much more aligned. Oh, Nadik, you're here. Hello. And much more aligned to my career goals. You gave me a point of reference. And because of that influence, I find myself advocating for you and your sessions. Even if I don't get the book, says Naldik, I just want you to know that you're making a significant impact, and we're watching from a distance to also learn and pay it forward to the next generation. So I thought that was really, really amazing. So Naldik, we're going to reach out to you to please send us your delivery details so we can get you a copy of Boardroom Dancing delivered to you. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for affirming me. Thank you for seeing me. But also thank you for just allowing this process and this journey that we're all walking together to play itself out in your life in a meaningful way for you. I think that's probably the most meaningful thing for me. It's not about whether people are resonating necessarily with what I say, because you're allowed to disagree, right, with the things that I say. And I love it when we have real debate and constructive conversations on as part of Mentorship Mondays. But for me, it's about what do you do with what you walk away with, whether it was in agreement or disagreement with something that I said. But what is the so what, right? So what do you do with that? So I was really touched by that. And then yes, Nozipo, guys, this is not because of the name, right? But Nozipo said, she said, Nosy, Mentorship Monday came at the darkest season of my career life. However, by listening to you, everything just changed. You always referred to the traffic story, and it stuck in my head. I hope you guys remember the traffic story. I would sit and keep quiet when decisions are made because I was scared that management would think that I'm against them. But slowly and surely, I'm speaking up and I'm asking the difficult questions, but I'm doing it in a respectful and a professional manner. Mentorship Mondays have challenged me a lot, especially when it comes to doubting my own abilities and really how smart I am. I know I'm now starting to gain my confidence and starting to get to know my value. I believe I still have a lot to learn from you and other mentees as well. Isn't that amazing, right, guys? Like, I just think Nozipo's got 2 names, Nozipompo. Thank you so much. And please, we're going to be in your DMs as well. We want to send you a copy of Boardroom Dancing as well. I think the thing that touched me about what you shared was getting to trust your own voice, because I think sometimes that's the hardest thing for us to do. We don't trust our own voice. We'd much rather, we even need other people to tell us that we're good at something before we start believing it ourselves. And so oftentimes, that process that happens when you start hearing your voice and trusting your voice and allowing your voice to be an extension of your gut is just such a special thing. And that you found it just, I don't know. I'm getting teary. I don't want to do this crying thing. So we're going to send you a book. So, all right. So there might be a little bit more teariness before we get to the questions for today. I wanted to, so somebody challenged me last week. Today's Monday. Yeah? Last week, Friday? No, last week, Thursday. I had just received an award, and I want to talk a little bit about that award. And she took both of my hands. Her name is Sonwabisi. I don't know if you guys know Sonwabisi. She used to be with Global Citizen, and now she's just out there doing amazing things. So she took both of my hands in hers, and she looked me in the eye, and she said, you're doing a good job. And I think my response was, you know how we get so uncomfortable when somebody just sees us and gives us praise like that. And I was like, oh yeah, no, but I wasn't expecting it. I don't know. Something rolled out of my mouth, but she grabbed my hands again and she said, no, I need you to pause and I need you to hear me and take in this moment because it's significant. And I realized that I don't really do a really good job of pausing even in the good moments. I think I'm wired too much to survive. Like my life experiences have all been about, how does one get through something? How do we survive something? How do we break through that? Even when you have broken through and you have survived something and you have done something great, it's so inconsistent with the normal flow of how you live out your life that you don't actually pause. So I want to pause, and I want to talk about the recognition and affirmation of last week, and I want to do the difficult thing, because it's really difficult for me just acknowledge it. So last week I got an award from YLC, which is Young Leaders Connect. It's an initiative of the International Women's Forum of South Africa. And if you know the IWFSA, you'll know that it is a formidable body of women leaders in this country who are committed to ethical leadership, who are committed to having their sleeves rolled up and being part of the solution. And they are in a class of their own, right? They are in an absolute class of their own. And part of that program is the Young Leaders Program, which I've been a part of this year. And I wanted to share a story about how I got into that, because one of the speakers, Trifosa Ramano, and I'm sure many of you might know her, she spoke about how when you're not invited to things, you must invite yourself, and you must just show up at that party, invited or not invited. And and I remember that actually that's how I actually got into YLC. I invited myself. I literally was seeing this thing, and so I'm in the second year. So the first year when I saw it online, it was already like the cohort had already been selected, the program had already been started, and I kind of went in and started researching, and I was like, but who are these people who are like, how do you get in to become part of this Young Leaders Connect, and how do you get to be mentored by women from the International Women's the IWFSA? And I then found somebody that I knew, and I literally picked up the phone and I said, I'm telling you now that I want to apply for next year. And I remember quite clearly, she said to me, no, but applications aren't open yet. You have to wait. I think it was like 6 or 7 months. And I said, okay, but I'm gonna put it in my diary, and I'm gonna keep reminding you, because all I'm asking for is please don't forget me when you're sending out applications. And like clockwork, I put it in my calendar, and I was all over that website when I knew more or less that they were going to start applications, and I was adamant that I was going to apply, and I did exactly that, and I fought my way in. And when I reflect now that a year later, I'm being awarded as the most authentic young leader of the year, it makes me like super emotional, because I think it's a reflection of what truly happens when you really set your heart on something, and that actually the things that you fight for yourself, and the things that you go after, and the things that you don't wait for other people to do for you, are the things that you're really going to go at and make them count. And so it was really special for me to get that award, but also because I think in the way that the award was given, it was an acknowledgement of, I think the way they described it is that this is a young woman who goes out into the world with a constant mark of excellence, and in doing so does it in her most authentic self. And I thought, sure, I've never heard somebody speak about me like that. I think I'm so used to being on stages speaking about other people and being on stages speaking about conversations that I'm actually technically outside of as the moderator, that it was very special for me to hear other people talking about me like that. So I'm not gonna cry. I'm almost there, so I'm done now. But I wanted to pause. I just wanted to pause, and I wanted to do this because I know myself that I just was not going to do it, and I wasn't going to acknowledge it and own it for what it is. So thank you for all your claps and stuff. Guys, it was so bad that Kanye is here, she'll tell you. Because I was just like, no, there's no way that I'm going to get this award. There's no way that, I'm going to be going up on stage for anything, that I refused to even go get a dress. And I wore this dress that I bought at China City or China Mall like some time back. And then I was like, no, I don't want to wear this. So I literally went for the one dress that I was like, I really don't like this dress, but I don't have anything else to wear, because I've kind of like worn all of my ball gowns and so on and so forth. So I'm just going to wear this one. And nobody's even going to notice me. And lo and behold, me and my China Mall dress were on the stage on Thursday. So, these things dress up for the moment. But I do think that the China Mall dress stood the test of time. It did its job, I think. So I want to get into the questions. I see my big brother Songezo Zibi is here. Songezo, we were just talking about you, I think about 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about your book and how everybody should be getting a copy. So it's so amazing to see you on here as well. Okay, so guys, I'm done gushing about my being seen and awards and whatever. It's done. We've had the moment. We've cried about it. I'm now going to move on. Yeah, Nozi, the dress tried Shem for my what, I think it was like, I don't know, 600 rand. I don't even know how much that dress was, but it worked. So let's get to today's question. There's a beautiful question that's come through today. It's a beautiful, beautiful question. It's a question from Inga Maqingwan. And Inga says, I'm going to survive. Inga says, Nozi, please can you take us through how you realistically set your career goals? What does that process entail? And I really struggle with these questions about career goals, because I think the underlying assumption is that I have a sense of what's coming next, or I have a sense of I'm going to do this, then do this, then do this. And my life has been nothing like that. My life has been about throwing myself into the current moment fully and really sucking out as much juice and joy out of whatever I'm doing. And out of that, discovering something else, and then going with that where my gut leads me. And so I don't want to say that career planning is non-existent. I don't want to say career planning is not good. I think you can be very deliberate about your career, about where you want to land and the kind of things that you want to do. But my experience has been, it's been less about where I want to go versus where my life is leading me, and where I'm being directed. And so I'm actually reminded, I don't know, I'm so emotional today, guys. I'm reminded of, so when I was on my way to becoming a Tutu Fellow, I got to attend a leadership session at Oxford Business School, right? So at Said Business School in Oxford. And one of the speakers there, and I'll never forget his name is Dr. Martin Kalunga Banda. He's from Malawi, Dr. Martin Kalunga Banda. and he was a guest speaker, and he was talking about emergent leadership. So this idea that sometimes we're called on to lead in emergent moments where you don't really know where you're going. You can't see the next stepping stone exactly. It's not clear. You don't have the pathway. It's not laid out for you. But it is actually the ultimate leadership challenge to be able to show up for those moments and be the bridge that not only gets yourself across, but actually gets others across in the process as well. And I have never forgotten that. And it was so powerful. I actually cried in the class. Gosh, I cry a lot, guys. And I wasn't the only one who was crying in the class. It was so powerful in the way he landed the lesson. And I think actually if you go to YouTube and you Google Dr. Martin Kalunga Banda, you will find a version of that lecture that he does when he talks about emergent leadership and emergent strategy as, you know, the how-to of how you then go about leading in emergent moments in life. And I don't know why, Songezo, but I'm even thinking about you as I'm saying this in this moment. And I think to your question, Inga, I won't claim that I've been deliberate about showing up for emerging moments in my life, but I certainly feel that that's what my professional journey has been more about. It's been about being deeply in tune with those emergent moments where I don't really know what the next thing is. I don't really know what the answer is, but I have a sense that if I show up with the best that I have, the best that of my capability, with the most positive mindset that I have, with the most collaborative posture that I can muster in the moment, that has actually been the thing that's allowed me to make the next step and the next step in my career. And I don't know, maybe as I get older, I'm going to be more systematic and more deliberate about career planning. But even today, when people ask me, where do you want to be in 10 years? I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is. All I do know is that right now and right here, the job that I need to do is so clear in my heart. It's so clear in my head. And that's the job I'm doing now. I am a vessel for provoking conversations on global stages in an inclusive way, in a way that reframes the conversation in a messy way, because they often end up with more questions and not these, neat ribbons and so on. And that's the job I'm here to do right now. And it's in those emergent moments when I get to start feeling a sense of restlessness to say, maybe I need to go and do the next job. Maybe there's something else that is now provoking me to look and say, what's the next thing for me? So I've just been reminded. Lou is saying that's so powerful. I don't know. This question has reminded me of one of my favorite poems. I've got my laptop here, so I'm going to read it out for you. I'm going to quickly look it up because I think it really speaks to this thing that I'm trying to share. And guys, those who know me will know that my favorite poet is a guy called David White. And White is spelled Whyte. And the poem is called Sometimes. I'm going to read it to you, okay? The poem is called Sometimes. And David White says, sometimes, if you move carefully through the forest, breathing like the ones in the old stories, who could cross a shimmering bed of leaves without a sound, you come to a place whose only task is to trouble you. Sometimes, if you move carefully through the forest, so if you're tuned in, if you're listening to those emergent moments knocking at your door, and he says, breathing like the old ones, so almost like there's a history to why you've got to do this, right? Who could cross a shimmering bed of leaves without a sound. He says, you come to a place whose only task is to trouble you. And then he says, it is to trouble you with tiny but frightening requests. To trouble you with tiny but frightening requests. I love that line, because it actually is in those moments when you need to make the next step, where you hear this request for you to go do something else, something bigger, something scarier. It's a tiny request, but it's absolutely frightening, because oftentimes it means you've got to let go of everything that you've become good at. And that's really, really hard to do. And then he says, I just said a pop-up. He says, okay, so you come to a place whose only task is to trouble you with tiny but frightening requests. And listen to this. He says, conceived out of nowhere, but in this place, beginning to lead everywhere. Conceived out of nowhere, but in this place, beginning to lead everywhere. So he's kind of saying, like, it's not an ordered journey. These requests that come of your life are almost as if they come out of nowhere, because nobody's expecting them. You don't foresee them. You don't anticipate them. And suddenly you have this request that is conceived out of nowhere, but in this place, beginning to lead everywhere. In this place, beginning to lead everywhere. So this idea that your next step could be the step that takes you to your everywhere. Your next step could be your next step that takes you to your everywhere. And then I'm almost done. And then he says, and this is the line that always gets me. He says, requests to stop what you are doing right now, and to stop what you are becoming while you do it. I'm going to say that again. Requests to stop what you are doing right now, and to stop what you are becoming while you do it. And I literally get goosebumps every single time I read that line. It is those moments where you're confronted with, I need to stop this thing that I've perfected, this thing that I'm good at, this thing that I'm being recognized for, and I need to stop the person that I'm becoming. No, it's not a scripture, Nolly. It's a poem. And to stop the person that I'm becoming, because suddenly there's this new, frightening, but urgent and emergent request about what you need to go do with your life next. And then he says, request to stop what you are doing right now and to stop what you are becoming while you do it. These are questions that can make or unmake a life. These are questions that have been patiently waiting for you. These are questions that have no right to go away. I'm going to read that once more. Request to stop what you are doing right now, to stop what you are becoming while you're doing it. Questions that can make or unmake your life. Questions that have been patiently waiting for you. Questions that have no right to go away. So, I don't do career mapping and career steps. I listen in to the questions that have been patiently waiting for me, questions that have no right to go away, and questions that can come from nowhere but be the beginning of my everywhere. Right? For those who are asking, the poet's name is David Whyte. Whyte is spelled W-H-Y-T-E. He is an Irish poet. He brings a beautiful lens to life, to business, and I'm so moved every single time. And the title of the poem is called Sometimes. And the reason why we're reading the poem of all things is because Inga was asking me the question of how do I realistically set my career goals, and what does that process entail? And I'm saying, actually, I think oftentimes we make the mistake of thinking that the process is neat and ordered, and that you can see what comes next. And if you do this, then you're going to become that. And then if you do that, you're going to become that. And I'm like, no, my life has been anything but that. My life has been about emergent leadership. It's about listening in to where I am, what the world is telling me, what the world is asking of me, and being brave enough to step into those moments and to answer the question that is being asked of me in that moment. So no, when people ask me, where do you see yourself in the next 10 years? I don't have an answer, because I don't know. I don't know. What I'm very clear about right now is the question I'm busy grappling with right now. And that is, how do I move the world with consequential conversations? And I just want to thank you, Inga, for the question. I'm really sorry if the answer to it has missed the mark. And this, because I know sometimes with questions we're looking for the 5 things, the 4 things, the 3 things, and it's not that neat sometimes. So a couple of things. Go and find David White. He's amazing. Go and look up Dr. Martin Kalunga Banda, and look up his YouTube talk on emergent leadership and emergent strategy. You will be absolutely moved in the same way that I have been moved. And take from this the fact that we don't always need to look outside ourselves for the answers about what comes next. Because what comes next is actually sitting within you. And the question is, do you have the moment to actually listen into that question and to respond to it? I just want to take a couple of comments. Peter's saying, Nosy, can you tell us about the very moment you knew you were transitioning into the world of entrepreneurship? Yo, guys, I've told the story ad nauseum. So my team was saying to me that I need to start directing people to the YouTube channel when we've got questions that keep coming up. So let's see if I've got time, because I only really want to take one more question. Because, one of the things I'm learning about Mentorship Mondays, it's not about the quantity of questions, it's about the quality of the questions, right? So even if we don't get through all of the questions, so Peter, hopefully we'll talk about, I'll tell the story. I'll be brief about it today. And I see that you were asking me, did I have savings? Who backed me up, or did I take a leap of faith? Styles is asking the same question. How did you move from corporate to doing your business? And did I already have finance for my bills? Okay, all right. So let me address it, because I think the question from our corner that I want to take is a very different energy, and I don't want to break that. Just quickly, Noliti is asking me, what's my take on vision boards? Powerful. I think a vision board plants a seed, but also don't then be sold on the picture. A vision board is about a seed, to say, so you put there a picture of a Mercedes AMG Coupe ton, because it is a representation of wealth or whatever it is that you're going to be pursuing as part of your journey. It doesn't mean that now you must be working towards. I think we mustn't take vision boards as a literal thing. We need to take vision boards as seeds that are a constant reminder of the things we dream about and vision for ourselves. But also, you don't then become straight-jacketed because you put a picture of a lawyer when you were doing a vision board when you were 15. Now you must become a lawyer. It doesn't work like that. So release yourself, be inspired, get the seed planted, but allow yourself to dream bigger and beyond your vision board, actually. Paul is saying, Dr. Martin Kalunga, Klunga -Banda, Banda, Kalunga Banda. Okay, to the question from Peter and Khwitsi about the transition from corporate to entrepreneurship. So my last corporate job was, it's Kalungu Banda. Jay, thank you. Machevo, thank you for that. Martin Kalungu Banda. I think he's Malawian. Okay, great. So my last corporate job was as a financial broadcaster on CNBC Africa. And that's where I literally discovered moderating, right? So I was doing a range of shows, and then and again, this is an emergent moment. I saw this show called Invest Africa. Songezo, you might remember it because I think we used to invite you a lot onto the show. I saw the show called Invest Africa that Bronwyn Nielsen was doing at the time. And I don't know why, and this is why I talk about these emergent moments. I don't know why, but God led me to look at that show and go, what is this? What is it about the show that feels right for me? And there were a couple of things. This show, Invest Africa, was about looking at different investment opportunities across the continent and having a guest in Lagos, a guest in Kigali, and a guest with me in Johannesburg, and between us would have a 4-way conversation looking at investment opportunities on the continent. Okay, so I then just approached my boss and I said, Bronwyn, hi, I really like the show and I really think I'd like to do it. So if you're ever wanting to hand it over, please can you consider me? To which she responded, absolutely. I think if you really want the show, we can make it happen. So again, I wasn't invited to the party, but I invited myself anyway. And I really loved the show and I gave it my all. And then I got a call from someone called Viwe Mjonji. She's like a big sister to me. And she said to me, Nozi, you know that thing you do on TV, on that show, where it's you talking to somebody in Kigali and somebody in Lagos and then somebody in Johannesburg, and there's like a panel of them? Do you think that you could do that thing live in front of people and not necessarily in front of cameras? And that's how I discovered moderating. And the minute I moderated the first conversation, and it was a conversation that Viwe had, the very conversation she'd invited me to, I knew instinctively, in my gut, I knew that was the tiny frightening request, or the tiny frightening question that had been patiently waiting for me. And that is, are you brave enough to make the jump to this? And I remember just going, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I didn't have finance. I didn't even think about going to look for funding, because it's not a product necessarily. You know, you go to, if you look at a lot of these funding vehicles, they're really about, what is your product? Just what's a tangible service? People still don't even think conversations are a serious thing to a large extent. So it didn't even cross my mind that I could go and get funding for my business. I was just like, okay, I'm going to be one of those people who are just going to try and do it, because I didn't have, I don't come from a rich family, so I couldn't go to my family to try and finance. I didn't have rich uncles or aunts who can say, hey, maybe can you invest in my business? It was me. So I had to make some trade-offs. And the biggest question on my heart was, if I leave, how am I going to afford the life that I now have? And so I made the typical mistake that I think a lot of entrepreneurs make initially, and that is to straddle. And that's why I always talk about how I hate it when people talk about their gift as a gig or a side hustle, because I know what that feeling is like. It's like you've been given this gift, this question that's been patiently waiting for you, but because you're so scared of leaving your salary, you try and now do this thing as a side hustle and a gig on the side. And that's what I was doing. And I realized that how I felt when I was moderating was chalk and cheese compared to how I felt when I was doing anything else. And so I really then took the decision that I'm going to jump. Now, but it wasn't an easy decision. I agonized about it. And the breakthrough moment for me was in a conversation with a friend, and he said to me, the thing about fear is that if you don't name your fear and you don't give it an identity, it always remains this big elusive thing. And I said, but what do you mean I must name my fear? He's like, yeah, what's the thing? What's its name? Like, give it a name. And I said, I don't understand. Like, I don't get what you're saying. He's like, Nozi, what are you most afraid of about leaving your full-time job and being an entrepreneur? Well, I said, I think my fear is called January, December, and April. Because who is booking moderators to moderate anything in January, to moderate anything in December, to moderate anything in April with all the holidays? And then he said, okay, I'm almost done. Oh gosh, guys, our corner's going to kill me. And then he said, okay, now that you know the name of your fear, what needs to be true for you to overcome it? And I was like, well, it's clear. I need to make enough money in the other 9 months so that I don't have to worry about January, December, and April. And he said, and there's your answer. Build a business that is so successful that you're making so much money in the 9 months that you don't have to work on those 3 months. And then instead of those 3 months becoming the boogeyman in your life, they actually become completely repositioned in your business, because they become your months of refueling and re-energizing. But you've got to get the other things right. And one of the things I needed to get right, of course, was pipeline, right? So how do you how do you build a business if you don't know when you're going to get your next client? And that for me is where my pedanticness about value and leaving value on the table and being excellent in every moment comes from. Because your client today is the one that secures you business tomorrow. They are the one who give you a space for you to showcase your talent, so that your next client who's sitting in the audience looks at that and goes, I need that too. So every single stage moment is a business development opportunity. It is an opportunity to get another client, because people are not just people in the audience. Those are your future clients, and they're looking at you and they're asking themselves, why on earth would I not buy this? And that's how I transitioned. So I had to name my boogeyman, and then I needed to go into breakthrough thinking about how do I become bigger than my boogeyman, and how do I build a business model that allows me to do exactly that. And so after straddling for a couple of months, I took the jump, and God being God, I think what I was earning in a month, I started charging. Probably 6 months into my business, I started charging per engagement. So one engagement in a day was the equivalent of what I was making in a month as a full-time employee. But I needed to answer the question that had been patiently waiting for me at the time that it came as well. Because you've got to answer questions at the time that they're being asked. Otherwise, you've missed the boat, and you haven't actually led from your emergent self. Okay. Last question, because I'm running out of battery. Akona _dreadlocks princess says, Nozi, how do you prepare for your meetings abroad? What are your traveling tips? And she says, I have business to the UK next week, and I'm a bit anxious. Oh, guys, listen, traveling has become an extreme sport. Like, I don't know how many disasters I've had, bags lost, visa rules changed during COVID that I wasn't aware of. But I think my traveling tips are fairly simple. I'd say never make the assumption about visas. Check, triple check, quadruple check. Make sure that you don't assume that you know the rules. Check the rules, recheck them. Call the embassy if you have to double check that if it really says no visa required, it really is no visa required. So that's that. Flights, just check your connection times, right? Make sure that you are booking when you're connecting as least connection time as possible. Don't make the opportunity of doing an hour or 2 hours in between. It's too tight. You kind of need between 2 to 3 hours for a good connection time. Allows your plane to land, gives you some buffer time for the other plane to be late, and you're still going to make your flight. I've had moments where that's gone horribly wrong, but the lesson has been learned. I think tip number 3 is pack your big suitcase if you're going for a long time, but always in your carry-on, have an outfit. Have the small toiletries things. So basically make your hand luggage an emergency should you lose your bag, because it might happen. And when you lose your bag, trust and believe, you want an outfit, you want underwear, you want a pair of shoes, you want to be able to freshen up. So just make sure that you have those little things. When they say don't put your valuables in your suitcase, trust and believe. Oh, number 5, travel insurance, travel insurance, travel insurance. Do not risk it. I have been bailed out by travel insurance so many times. It's the first thing that I ask when I get my ticket. Where's the travel insurance and how comprehensive is it? And they've got beautiful things like if your bag gets delayed for, say, maybe, for example, say 3 days, whatever, they'll give you X amount of budget to go and shop for new things. So if you miss a connection for a flight, for an issue that's not yours, you get compensated for that. And even if it's your fault, the fact that you're covered also helps with reducing the cost of getting your next flight. So those things really, really matter. And then travel comfortably. I'm wearing this right now, and I usually wear this and the tracksuit pants for this, and I've probably got like 4 others. These are my absolute travel essentials. I don't ever want to be uncomfortable in a flight, So always dress comfortably, warm socks, sneakers, and I always take a hoodie or a beanie, because a cold head makes a flight even colder. That's it, friends. I'm about to die, so I'm going to go bye-bye before this thing dies on us. And I'm going to say thank you for joining today. Until next time, see you on the Mondays. Ciao, guys. I hope you've had a good day. I'm literally rushing out before we get kicked out. Thank you so much for joining. Ciao. Bye, Avetandwa, Tandega. Bye-bye. Lebo. Oh, Lebo's just joined. Huitzi, thank you for the great question. Peter, to you as well. To Inga and Akona. And then, of course, to Nadik and Nozi Pompo. We're sending you those copies as well. Lou, thank you so much for being here. Thank you to Mr. Graf. Thank you to Songezo. Thank you to, who else was I not expecting that was here? So many people. Thank you very much. I just enjoy it so much. Tunis, I'm so glad you're here and that you're going to come back for more Mondays. Have a beautiful rest of the week. An excellent rest of the week. It's bye-bye for me.